Okay, is that budging? No, the longer one. Get organised. Get organised. Right, give him a drink of water. Let's hold him. Can we get somebody down and sort this fire out? Get away from that fire, the firefighters are coming down.
One of the oil leaks in the main street has caught fire. For the first aid party trying to rescue one of the trapped survivors, this is yet another problem, and the fire parties have to move fast. If the fire isn't doused quickly, it can set off other hazards in turn. And even though it's an exercise, the fires are real, with the danger that they could cause genuine casualties.
Full speed, lads! Right, that's it, Tony. Don't pull it anymore. It's been pretty hard work, like, but it's been hot and everything. Putting the fires out in them buildings with HFLF extinguishers.
And how realistic does it feel?
Very realistic.
So what's your next job?
Put all the fire out of there.
Some fires are much more difficult to deal with than others. A blazing oil tank means the firefighters have to wear the stifling Fear Naught suits. So young Pincher Martin will find the going getting even warmer.
Walk up to the door, that's it. Walk them up to the door, Steve. And then get them down nice and low.
The rescuers have been making progress, finding more and more survivors and treating the injured. Seaman Saunders is part of a team which is finally ready to free one of the trapped villagers.
When we get on his leg, support that leg there.
We stretcher bearer so far,
Yeah.
team.
And what's that been like?
Hard work, because had a few big blokes had to carry them by yourself.
And is it over sort of difficult country? Have you got to get them up and down slopes? And
Yeah, we had to take them up the top of up through all the terrain and through the paths, and there was just one for one person, which you need 4 to carry, so only 2 can carry them.
Right, and how does it feel? I mean, does it feel realistic?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Do you know what else you're going to have to do today, or is it?
I don't know. We'll have to be doing this, and after this, probably go back to stretcher bear again and burying the dead.
It's hot and tiring work, and just when the crew think the end of this exercise or serial is in sight, they're about to find the Foss team have one more trick up their sleeves.
But inevitably, some people have done this exercise before. They therefore know roughly what to expect. So in order not to make it too predictable, we throw in the odd extra little cereal to keep them on their toes. And that really is the test, is to see how they deal with it.
The timing was perfect. The threat caught the firefighters when they were fully stretched. One of them was Ryder Jones.
I believe there's a gas explosion gone down there by the firefighters, and there's 3 firefighters down the bottom there. It's been more difficult than I expected. You've been putting a lot of hours in. The hardest thing really is keeping awake and keeping aware of yourself, keeping conscious.
Yes, we do. We require as much beer as you can give us. How you feeling, son? Get back in there.
First priority is to get the remaining casualties clear of the escaping gas. That means breathing apparatus, or BA as the Navy call it. But the gas could ignite at any moment, and that means a Fear Naught suit as well. So for an already tired Pincher Martin, it's time to swap his fire hose for one end of a stretcher.
Going in there with them stretchers, lifting people up and all that lot, with Fear Naught suit and a bail as well. It gets pretty heavy. It's pretty tiring, like, I'm pretty exhausted. Well, I'm feeling quite hot in here, but I'm alright. I'll live.
Does it still feel real?
Yeah, dead real.
Is it as you expected it to be?
No, it's a lot worse.
The old fort at the top of the hill makes an ideal site for a headquarters. Most of the wounded have been carried up here, and a makeshift hospital has been set up in one of the chambers of the fort.
Yeah, search 3, search boss. As soon as it's there, call me and then Helo will launch.
The ship's team has set up a field kitchen to keep everyone fed after all the hard work. But now Newcastle's crew has had another casualty, this one for real. The Chief Petty Officer Cook has had an accident, and he's been taken to hospital with burns. Petty Officer Quickfall steps into the breach.
We've sorted everything out now. At least we got the casualties and the civilian population fed straight away. So we was on time for that. We was a bit late with our own men, but then again we had breakfast before we was landed anyway. So that was no problem. So what are you giving them today? Right, we've got pork rasher, a beef burger and sausage and onions. They've got beans with hot potatoes and fried mushrooms. Any surprises from your point of view in the problems you met today? Anything you've learned from it? I think my biggest surprise was seeing the casualties coming in, injured as they did. I wouldn't have expected it on that grander scale, obviously. Now we know next time if it ever happens for real, we know exactly what we've got to do. So.
It's an invaluable experience. It gives us the confidence to approach an exercise of this, or a real event of this size, knowing that we can handle it. We have got the communications, we have got the organisation to cope with it, and if necessary, the ship can supply us with a backup.
It's early afternoon, and after 6 hours of back-breaking work, the disaster's beginning to come under control at last.
How's it going here? Some bits are good. They very badly held up by lack of BA and Fiat. They should have been down the first helicopter load, and it's got held up for about an hour. Very badly, and it's thrown the whole progress of the firefighting, which is a pity. The techniques are all right when we get there. Good. They're all right. A number of them enjoyed themselves.
But as always on a Portland exercise, the burning question still on everyone's mind is, how well did we do?
As I said, it's a wide-ranging exercise, and I haven't had all the reports in, but she coped with it fairly well. It was quite slow to start with, but once the show got on the road, things went quite smoothly, and the ship's company showed a great deal of enthusiasm, and there was good leadership from some senior rates and officers.
I think really overall the ship has come through with what the staff would call a SAT. We've achieved the aim. We had some very good points, and we've had some which weren't so good.
The strengths are the people, and this is not sounding arrogant about the Navy. I think the strengths are the sailors who serve in, and the average age of the people here is what, 24 and a half. And for some of the people who you've been filming, this is the first time they'll have been in a scenario like this. And they gave it their best. The weaknesses are that, like any organisation, is whether we have the ability to be flexible enough to deal in an ever-changing situation.
Newcastle's time in port had been anything but peaceful, thanks to the assorted threats and problems devised by Fost's team of experts. The ship's company had managed to cope with everything quite well in some areas, less so in others. Overall, she's only just on the right side of the borderline, and that's a sobering thought for everyone to take with them as she puts to sea again to face the toughest and most daunting phase of all her Thursday war exercises. How well she meets these challenges will determine whether she passes the Portland course or has to endure it all over again. Will Newcastle make it, or will she have to do it all over again? Find out next week in the final part of Thursday War.
There's a rash of red noses in the